communication groups. So please excuse me for that. I'll stop the transcription. That's one issue. The second issue that I have is to how to solve it. So there's two things that I can do. One thing is that I could send you .ics files. These ICS files are Apple Calendar files that you can just click on and you could add it to your own calendar. Once you do that, even if your calendar is an Outlook calendar or maybe Google Calendar. So once you add these files there, you should probably have you should have no issues at all. The second uh, thing is that I could actually start updating you on our WhatsApp channel. I just created one yesterday. It was my first experience of creating one, and I decided to send an invite. And I instead of typing 1 hour, I typed 10 hour. So this is the kind of problems that I sometimes have because of the amount of work that I try to do in a day. So I can miscommunicate, and I'm really sorry for that. I did correct it, but I think it wasn't very much when I should have uh, done so. So that's one thing that you could probably do. The second issue that I've been getting from many people is of the software installation. Now, when it comes to software installation, that tends to become a bit tricky when it comes to Linux-based systems for many people. If at any point you feel like you're having this issue and you might not be very comfortable working with VirtualBox, you can switch to a Windows-based system. So when you are so when we are joining when we are there on a Windows-based system, there is actually something that we know of as sorry for that. OSGeo for Windows. So if you want, you can.
Okay, Kari, keep. I'll use my earpiece. Oh, wait. Let me see.
So what you do is you can use this software, and probably this way. I just have to mute these mics, please. Sorry for that, but so what we would have to then do is, I'm sorry, I have so many windows open. So we can go to the OSGeo for window. Now the OSGeo for window is something that you could install. However, the website tends to be a little sluggish and slow. The landing page. But when you click on this icon here, which says visit our website, it takes you to a website that opens far faster and better. Here you can see this. There is an installer, so you could download this installer, and this installer will help you install this software on your Windows computer. I have this installer running here, so I'll close it and I'll go with this particular one. I'll run it and then give me two options. One is the Express install, one is the advanced install. Express install is easy for many people. So when I click on the Express install, it will start gathering some links for websites that it can download software from. So these are like 4 software that's going to install: QGIS, Tidal, and GRASS. But when I go back and click on the advanced install, what I'm going to find is that there is three options. There's a list of three options that I have. One is to install it from the internet. I could do it directly while I'm talking to you. I can download it without installing it and install it later. Or I already have the download file somewhere in my computer and I can install it. Most of you would not have these files already. I do not have them on my computer, so I'll click on the first option and I'll move next. It will ask me about where I would like to install it. So I'm installing it in my C drive for OSGeo for Windows. 4 is like the number 4, and then W is for Windows. I would like to create a desktop icon, and I'll say next. The next thing that it will do is it's gonna ask, like, mention the local package directory. Now, this is where it's gonna temporarily keep my files. This is not a package directory where my files are going to be for a long period of time. When I click next, it will ask me how do I want to download it. Now, some computers are on a proxy server. My computer does not have a proxy. If you're using internet at your home, it does not. Most systems can work with the direct connection thing. So go with the direct connection and press next. I was going to give you a few options. So I usually go with the first option because this is the official OSGeo website. And once I do so, it starts downloading, but it's not going to download the software or install anything as of now. It's going to then show me four options. One option is for the command line utilities. One option is for the desktop software. One is for the libraries. These are additional GIS libraries. And one is for the web packages. Now, if we look at these are a long list of things. So the command line utilities are the ones that can be useful for many. So if you see there's a list which includes Shadal, OGR, curl, and then it also includes Python. So you could probably pick uh, and want to install it. So the moment I click on this uh, default here, it says that install. That means it's going to install it for me. And I'll go for the desktop options. So I have these desktop software lists with associated libraries. And there's a software saga, GIS, QGIS. So initially, since we are working on QGIS and GRASS for these 2 months, I can just click install here and it will install them for me. Then these are the libraries. Now, if you are an advanced user who need a certain library only, you can then probably pick these libraries. Since you are a beginner, you would like to have everything available, go with install. For the web, there is a web server and then there's a QGIS server. So you could just go with install and it will be installing all of them for you. So as soon as you click install here, there are these crosses, these hashes that appear here. That means that the software will be installed for you. I'll go with next, and it's going to ask me that there are some packages that are required, but uh, they are not installed. So I can click on this here, install these packages to meet the dependencies, and I'm going to click next. The next thing it's going to do is it's going to start downloading from the internet. Depending on how good your internet connection is, you will be getting your downloads done. Now, for everything, uh, sorry, I'll have to. I'll have to just do one thing. Disable mics for attendees for the time being. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. And so I'll have to pick these licenses. So what I'll do is I'll pick the licenses that I want installed and I'll start moving. Usually we don't read these uh, terms in their entirety, but yes, they are useful. So I'll go with next, keep accepting all these licenses that come my way. And since I've selected everything, so obviously it's going to take some time. And it will then start installing. What it does is it downloads things, then it tells at the bottom the disk space that I have left and the download progress and installation progress in a while. While this goes on, this is going to take a while. Let's move on to the other things that we will be needing. When it comes to the other things that we will be needing, uh, that is the VirtualBox thing. Now, the VirtualBox installation, as I did mention, many of you were having some issues. And I would like to actually discuss those issues and talk about them. Sometimes when you install the virtual machine, you are going to need to go into the settings and set your internet connectivity right. Now, I must admit that the internet connectivity is by far the most complex things on a virtual box. You can go with NAT, but you will not get an adapter option, so your internet will not be working. What I do is I work with virtual box bridge adapter. The VirtualBox bridge adapter does work. Sometimes for many people, it might not. If it's not working for you, you are not getting the Hyper-V Ethernet option, I will recommend an alternative that you could do is you could go to your network and internet settings. Mhm. No, not something that I want put online. And in your Ethernet adapter section, what you could do is you could right click your Ethernet that you have, and then you have obviously your virtual net, your Ethernet and your VirtualBox Ethernet. So these two Ethernets that you have, you could then select them and you can create a bridge between them. And then in the drop down there that you're going to have, in your VirtualBox, you're going to have find that, oh my God, no, this should not have happened. Just give me 1 second. There's a bit of a problem that I created for myself. I'll have to rush now because the system is remote. There's a bit of an issue that I created with that system, and I should not have done that, but it's a blunder that I did. So and why did that happen? I'll explain. Just give me 1 second and I'll be back. Okay, so let me explain this to you. What happened is that I actually disabled my uh, my server totally, and I should not have created a network bridge, so I have to rush to the server and then reset the network back to where I was. So you can do that on your own computer. I cannot risk it now because my network then changes. But since you are on your own computer, then you would be able to select that from the drop down menu. Anyhow, so that's one perspective that you're going to have. Beyond that, you should not have any of the issues that I've received emails for while installing. I mean, if there are people who are having those kind of issues, then probably there is something that is being misconfigured. It does not happen. Yes, with Windows 1 Hyper 11, Hyper-V is not available. There are computers that are not working the way my computer works. My is a professional edition Windows 10 with the license. So probably that's one of the reasons that there is an issue on some computers. I cannot fix them, but then what you could do is you do not have to work on OSGeo Live. You can just install these software on your Windows computer and you can work on them. And that should be totally fine. Should not be have any issues whenever we are using a new software. I'll tell you how to install them when you're going to have the installation ready. For today's exercise, what we're going to do is we are going to be working uh, with uh, with QGIS. So that's a software that I already have installed. Inkscape, that's another software that I already have installed. And GIMP, this is yet another software. If you look at my browser here, the QGIS installation, you could do it from OSGeo Live, or you could just download QGIS simply from here. Should not be an issue. Uh, for Inkscape, it's again free. It says draw freely. You don't have to really do anything. You can work with it online with it whenever you want. You can just, don't have to buy a license and worry about buying a license. And the third one is GIMP. Similarly, you don't need to buy a license or anything. For today's exercise that I have some data that I have of the glaciers on the third pole of the world, that is the Karakoram Himalaya Hindu Kush region. And these are like some of the glaciers that I was mapping recently. And I thought I should share this data with you, and you can probably do this exercise with the help of this data as well. The data is something that I did not create myself. It is something that's available online. So you could find it online as well. So this is my QGIS window where we have been working in our previous class as well. When we're working with QGIS, we will have this option of creating layers and adding layers. In today's exercise, we're not creating anything. We're just creating an output map. And this is an exercise which sort of, I would say, is crucial because maps are a work of art. And it's not these GIS software alone, they help you that help you make those maps. You will have to know and use other software to make your maps more presentable, far more appealing, and very much research worthy. When I say research worthy, of the sort that you could actually add it into a research paper and feel proud about it. Uh, Tell people that yes, you made this map and this is good. What you're going to do is you are actually going to start by adding, clicking the new map tab first. So you're going to start a new project. Then you're going to go to the layer option and you're going to add layers. Since the maps that I'm adding are all vector map layers, I'll just go into my directories in the download folder and I'm going to start opening all my layers one by one. I have the administrative boundaries of Pakistan. So what I will do here is download the national bound, open the national boundary file, and I'll probably select the shape file here so that I have less files visible. And once I've done so, I have these constituency. I don't think I need to open this. I have the district boundaries, the national boundaries, uh, the provincial boundaries. Let's see, this is an administrative unit that we have. And I'm going to click open. As soon as I click add, I have a map of the country opened. The next maps that I need to add here are again some layers. These are simple vector layers. Here. And I add the districts from the area where these glaciers are into the map as well. Yes, so for some reason it is unable to recognize this as a valid source for some reason. Let's see what happens. Oh, sorry. I have to pick vectors here, not mesh. So I will click open and I'll add initial block. So these are some of the districts in the northern areas. The next thing that I will do is I'll open a map of the glaciers in that region and I'll add those as well. And then once that's done, I'll look for some streams that are there and add that map as well. Because when you're representing glaciers, you want to add streams that are representative of the valleys as well. Once we're done with that, I think all my basic layers are here. Now when I zoom into this by right clicking and zooming into the layer, the map looks fine. I mean, it might not be very fine to many, but it's a reasonable fine map. What really doesn't really work right is that it's not a cartographically representative map. What the software does is it just creates random colors for you, and that's something that you would not want to show in your map ever. For that matter, a map of rivers. Now, once you look at rivers, rivers cannot be obviously red. So I'll go and probably pick a color that is representative of rivers. So I'm going to select apply. And now I'll say, okay, rivers look a little like rivers do. Then I'll go for glaciers, go to the properties again, go with the fifth thing. I'll remove the boundary. This is the stroke that is the boundary of the glaciers. And you will see the black line around it disappear all of a sudden. So if I go and pick that again, this black line will start showing again. I don't really need to pronounce it very well in my maps, so I click apply. But you don't represent glaciers with orange color because obviously it's not going to look good at all. So I'll try to pick a color that's a little representative of glaciers, and that's going to be the light blue color here. Once that's done, I think I need to do something else. I'll go back to the rivers. No, I'll not go back to the rivers again. Then I'm going to go for the districts. Now, these are obviously administrative boundaries that I'm trying to represent or put on my map. Uh, Generally, the options that are available in uh, in QGIS are a lot, but not always sufficient for good enough cartographic rendering. So what I'll do is I'll go with an outline. Maybe no, not this one. Not gonna work. Do a simple fill and pick the line type and dot dash because that's an administrative boundary. And then I'll remove the fill on the inside because it's going to hide everything for me otherwise. So I'm going to make it look like this. Now, if you look at the map that was in the beginning and you look at the map now, it's still not really good. The next thing that I need to do is fiddle with the colors here. Now, this is a color that probably will not really be representative of how I want to have the background on the map as well. So what I would do is I will probably pick a color that is lighter for a fill here. And this is going to now start working for me. I picked it from the boundary as well. I don't need to show the provincial boundaries or the district boundaries. I think I'm fine with the tehsil boundaries because that are somewhat in sync with my maps up there. But if you look at these things up here, you will see that these glaciers are actually covering some of the district boundaries that I wanted to show in my maps. So what I will do is I go here. There's a function that is known as opacity. So it changes the opacity of the map for you, thickness of the map for you. So I go to probably 50% here. I'll click apply. And now the boundaries will start showing up. But still, it's not right because this map underneath the glacier area is not my focus area. So when it's not my focus area, this is something that I don't want to show very well, like very strongly. So I try to reduce the opacity here to something that would make it appear as a background rather. Now it's a bit of a background, but still not something that is as much of a background as I would want it to be. So what I might do is I might reduce the opacity further and the line thickness here as well. So that it's not a very dominant shade that it has, but it might have a presence. Or if I would like, I could probably just remove it altogether and should not be an issue. Now, once we have this map here, there's obviously the rivers that are coming out too strong. And I don't really want to emphasize on the rivers in my map much at this stage. So I'll probably just click and type 50 here, apply, and maybe reduce line width as well because the rivers are too broad and I don't want to. I know the map looks a bit different than it looked initially. Still, there's something that I could do. I could actually label these, and this is when by the click on label, it shows the same label on all districts. I don't want to do that, so I'll go into the properties part, select labels. It says province. Now, where is it picking this province name from? Let's right click on the attribute. So this is what's it's picking it from, the province, but I want the district names. So what I'll do is I'll right click, go to properties. Instead of province, pick districts, click apply, and I click OK. And now it's showing the district names. For some odd reason, I don't want to use it as such. I would rather want to type these names because they don't look print worthy. The print quality is not going to be there as much. So what I would do is I would, instead of that, do something else now. I'll disable the labels here and I'll go to the project part. I'll save it for now as my project. Glacier exercise for the time being. And I'll try to create a new print layout. The moment I said I clicked on that, it created a new print layout for me. Now this is where the map is going to be prepared. What I could do is, now this is a layout one. The previous window is there. So that hasn't gone anywhere. And this is another window that it opened for me. I'm going to click on this add map button and I'm going to pull it over here. What it's going to do is it's going to push the map in here for me. There are some properties for the maps that I can change if I feel like doing so. And then I could insert other valuables to the map, like the legend. So I can add the legend here. And it decided to add everything for me. Then I usually need a north arrow. I'll add the north arrow here. No, it wasn't the north arrow. I'm sorry for that. My bad. It started drawing a line for me rather. It was supposed to be the north arrow though, but I don't know what kind of north arrow that it was. Uh, Oh, this is the one. Sorry, that was the arrow, and this is the north arrow. I'm going to pick the north arrow thing here. I'm going to place it here. It's going to ask me where it would like to reference it, and it will create a big north arrow for me. Then I obviously want a scale in my map as well. And I'm going to click here. It's going to ask me about the dimensions. I'm going to put a map scale for me as well. Uh, let's go back and add the districts labels as well. So I'm going to add the labels as well. And now I have this map updated. While this map is fine, there are a few things that are not supposed to be in the map. That is the provincial boundary and the district boundary. So what I would do here is I'll probably remove this. Well, obviously remove this from here. The tehsil boundary, the district boundary, I'll select these two while pressing shift, and I'm going to remove these two as well. Now, this GBCH districts does not really sort of work well as a name for me. So I want to probably uh, change the way that it appears. So I'll say districts. And I click apply here in the source column at the top. And I click apply, and it's going to change it to districts then. These are the glaciers, and these are going to be the rivers. When I go to this again, my legend entry has been updated for me. Generally, whenever we present maps in presentations or anywhere, there's a general common issue that they are not all very readable. The point here is that if in case you find that these are not readable, you can just click on item properties and try to see if you could change things like the width, the spacing, the position, the size, and everything else. This is one way of doing it. Obviously, you have a variety of properties that you can pick from and then start changing them. And then you're going to find that, this is something that is fruitful. Generally, like the font size for that matter. So I'll go with the font and I'll probably pick a bigger font here. So if I pick a bigger font, it sort of didn't really work, but still. So the legend title, oh, sorry, there was no legend title. The item labels. So this is the font that I would like to pick, and I like to increase this font size to maybe a bit difficult. I'm sorry for that, but not on purpose. Fonts and size. I'm going to pick the font, and I am going to increase the size a little. So this is going to be readable. But if you see for this map, this will still not work uh, in a way that we want it to, because it doesn't really look as catchy as you would like a map to look like. So what we usually do is we try to add in ancillary elements. What we do is we try to add in more elements and we try to work on this map in a separate environment sometime. What I do is, let me show you, I would rather export this map. I mean, we've done a variety of functions by the virtue of this exercise here in QGIS. So that was one of the main objectives for now. The second thing that we can do is sometimes when you have updated the map, you can click refresh and you can refine it. This doesn't really resonate well. The font sizes are different, the colors are not really like, and it is not very print quality as well. So I'm going to remove the labels here and I'm going to export it. Now, this is one interesting function that QGIS has. You can export it and you can do it in ArcMap as well. And you can export it at a given DPI. For most publications or print functions, 300 is a good DPI. You can draw on canvas or you can copy to clipboard. So I'll draw on canvas and I'll select the area that I want exported. So this is the area of the map that I'm working on exported. You at some point might have a bigger map that you want to export a small area of. And then you can click save. You can go to the download part, go to the glacier maps, and you can just create a folder, label it 01 so that it goes to the top, and then you label it output maps. So it goes to the top. You won't have to look up for it now. Glaciers underscore Pakistan, and you save it. There you go, your map saved. Go to the downloads directory to the output maps. Now, this is a map, and it's got actually a metadata file as well. You can open it, and you're going to find that the map still needs a lot of work done on it. A lot of the information in it is not as good, and you can see that these boundaries and lines are not very clear. So what we would first do is go back to the map, go to the district properties, go to the symbology, change the fill thing, and increase the width of the district boundaries so that they become more readable. We'll change the glaciers, the lakes, the rivers opacity as well, because that's not something that we want. We don't want them to be totally invisible. So I'm going to increase the opacity to up to 80% will be here. And that is done as well. The next thing that I want to do is I want the glaciers to appear as well. So I'm going to go a little to maybe 65% here and select apply and click OK. And once this is done, I mean, I've sort of, appropriately rendered the whole thing. I would now export it again. So I'll save my work here. I'll export. I'll create a good DPI here again. 300. The image size explodes kind of, comes big, and then I'm going to click here. And I'm going to say save. Glaciers Pakistan. I'm going to select save. Replace it. Now what I'm going to see here is a map that's a little more easy to read. The next thing that I would like to do now is label it and make it print worthy. In order to do so, I'll first things first, go to my GIMP software. Now this is interesting sort of thing that you can do in GIMP. One of the things that I usually do with my software is that I open GIMP and there is usually some free space on the side. So what I do is I go to image and I type crop to content. I select crop to content. What it does is it removes that extra white space that I had and I overwrite it. It's overwritten. For me, the extra space on all sides is gone. I close this now. I don't need to use it anymore. There's times when we do use it. And then I'm going to go to Inkscape. Inkscape is something where I'm going to import it. From my downloads folder, the glacier maps output, and then I'm going to select open. I'm going to link it. You can embed it as well. Link is much better. And there you go, my map. Now, this map is bigger than the workspace that I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the document properties and I'm going to select the resize to content button, fit page to the current selection or the drawing. I'm going to select this and voila, now it is fine. I'm going to select this zoom to fit page width so it's up close and personal as well. Now the next thing is, and now I need to make it look like a good map. What would I do? I do not remember the names of the glaciers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, show labels, maybe. No, the glaciers don't have any labels. So I'm going to turn them off. The districts, I'm going to show labels. So it's Chitral, Rizal, Hunzanagar, and all. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to type, select the type tool here. That's the text tool. I'm going to type Chitral. That's one. I'm not editing any fonts. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just typing all the names. The second name, close this, I'm going to close this. I'm going to stay here. Is it damage? Nope. I'm going to double click on it. Is there? Then I'm going to control V again. Select, double click. Maybe not working. Damage. I'm going to go with Gilkit. And I'm going with Unzanaga. I'm going to go to the next one that is stores Gurgo and Ganchi. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we do the spelling. I need to fix it. There you go. Now there's a problem with my text. It doesn't look very appealing. It looks like it's been filled in with some text. So, or maybe with some boundary. So I'm going to select all of these here. I'm going to double click on the stroke thing at the bottom. And I'm going to remove the border here. As soon as I do, it looks a little more readable. If at any point I feel like I need to change the fonts, I could simply select this thing, the text thing again. I could increase the font to maybe 12, a little more than that, maybe 14. Cambria is something, maybe another font. No, not like this, but maybe California FP or maybe mm, Arial. More readable than other fonts. I'm going to start placing my labels now. Since I don't remember where everything is, so I'm going to start doing 1. It's going to be 2. It's going to be 3. It's going to be 4. It's going to be actually is also let's click it. Yeah, being store. So this goes towards here. This comes here. This goes here. This goes here, I think. And this goes here. Now, this is one thing that we do. Now, this is going to, since these are support vector graphics, they're going to print very well. And that's one thing that's really desirous most of the time when we're working with maps. Another thing I can do here is I can try to make it appear a little bold and condensed, or maybe just bold, so that they're far more readable than they would be before. The next thing that I need to do is I need to actually create a scale for my map. Now, this is something that we did the last time as well, but I was in a hurry. I thought I should go slow and make sure that you learn most of the concepts before we head on to something else. So first thing first, I'll actually go in. I'm going to go and measure a distance on my map. When I measure a distance on my map, I have this map utility, this scale utility here at the top. And on this, I have this thing that I could shift to kilometers, and I can start measuring a new distance. So I'll start at this corner and maybe measure around 200 kilometers. 120 is the straight length from here to here. I'd rather want to go to up to 200 kilometers. So it is a little around this particular streamline here, this particular point. So I could go to my map here and draw a line. Since I keep forgetting, what I will do is I go back and I do it from here. This is that particular line. So this is representative of about 200 kilometers. The worry that I have is that it's not straight line. So what I do is I'm going to go into the view options and I'm going to display the grid lines. They're going to help me set straight lines, and I'll click on the snap function here. So it will actually then move from edge to edge between two given points. And this is the distance that I just had calculated. I can obviously remove the page grid once my line is drawn, and I can go here, click on the cross. So I don't want to fill the line with anything. The stroke I had set to 0. I'll set it to 6. 6 looks too big. 4 would be fine. No, maybe 3. 2 rather. Now, this is one interesting thing that you can do with the scale thing is that you could, like, if you feel like this is too big, you could just simply go to the object part, transform, and scale it down to a given, maybe let's say 50%. And if you would like to do it proportionally, you can do that as well. You can just do it non-proportionally as well. So the height remains the same, and this is it. And now, instead of 100, uh, 200 kilometers, this has been reduced to half, so it's 100 kilometer of a distance that is representative of. I need a legend for it, so I'm going to copy this text here, place it here, and I'm going to click on edit and write 100 kilometers. So this line is now representative of 100 kilometers. The next thing that I need to do is have a north arrow on my map. So that would again be something that I want to have the grid lines available for. I'm going to enable the grid. I'm going to create my north arrow, but first I need to actually enable the snapping so that my north arrow is straight, and I'd rather do it here. So this goes my north arrow. The width of my north arrow is a little too much. So I'll reduce this, zoom to it here, and then I'm going to create a pointed end for it. So it looks like a north arrow. Now, this is something that does not do with the regular data science that we do, but representation does play a vital role. So this is my north arrow, and my north arrow for me now is fine. I'm going to disable snapping here, and I'm going to hide the grid now and zoom back to the center of it. So this is my north arrow as well, and it's different from what that software was creating for me. I need to have a legend to this map as well, and I need to actually give people an idea of where we are. And that's obviously very important because for what area of the world this map is. So I shift this and press Control G or right click and group it so that it doesn't move away from each other, and put it at the bottom. Yeah. Now this is going a little out of the page, doesn't matter. The same thing that we did. File, document properties, zoom, and we are at 100 kilometers now. Now I need to obviously give the reader an idea, I will probably move this here because I need to use the space for something else. And then I'm going to give a bit of context. So I'm going to say, this is China. I'm going to remove the stroke from here, probably reduce it to 0 because it's making that text look like not something I wanted. Fill a color to it. And since I'm representing a different entity than I was representing before, I would like to also increase the font size a little and mention it like this. And then I am going to also mention that we have maybe Afghanistan to the west. So for that, I'm going to type Afghanistan here. And again, uh, document properties. And I'm going to extend this. Once I do so, I need to pay attention to uh, this thing that everything is in place and the alignment is good. So I'm going to do that a little as well. The next thing that I would like to do is maybe bring it a little further down. Hold Shift and E again and zoom out. I now need to go back here, look at the regional context a little. So add OpenStreetMaps. And I see that there is this something, the Wakhan corridor here. So I'm going to mention the Wakhan corridor. And then obviously we have Tajikistan and all. So we could probably add that if you wanted. But I don't think we need to really go for that. So I'll probably mention, I'll probably not mention that here. But these are a few things that I could do. I could mention maybe Kashmir here on this side because it has some significant number of glaciers, and that's going to be again another aspect of it. Now I need to add legends for the lines in here. Now for that very reason, would I'm not very comfortable with this scale at the point that it is right now. So we'll see what we do with it. Uh, for that reason, what I'll have to do is I'll have to create legend entries. So I'll go with the grid again, pick the pencil thing, and I'm going to create my first legend entry. No, I'll not do that right away. I'll first enable snapping so that my lines are not. So this is one line. I'm going to create one for the border thing. This is another line. You can't see them, but since I've created them, so they can be selectable. I'm going to go here, add the stroke weight to 1, and then I'm going to put them where I want my legend to be at. Now, since I'm going to add some more things to it as well, so I place the legend here above the scale. And I need to create a small box to represent the color of the glaciers as well. I'm gonna disable the view of the page grid. Then I'm gonna go here and pick a color for this. So what I'll do is I'll reduce the stroke for this circular object to maybe 0, semicircular rather. I'm going to pick a color for it, for the fill. I'm going to go here, pick the fill option, then pick the glaciers color, and it will then start. Yeah, the border, I don't want it because there's no border on them as well. So this is how it will look like. This is for the for the dot dash lines. So I'm going to pick the dot dash line here. Maybe this one. And this one is for the rivers. So I'm going to go with, I'll go with the river a little above for obvious aesthetic reasons. I'm going to pick this one for the river. And I'm going to pick this one for the dot dash lines that I have created. Maybe this one is going to be fine. Or maybe this, no, this is going to be more representative. Once I've done so, now I need to add the legend entries. So this is going to be my glaciers thing. It automatically aligns things for me. That is a good thing because I need to have, for good aesthetic value, we need to all have things in order on the maps. I mean, otherwise the map looks very odd. Uh, this is the other one. So these are going to be the rivers, streams. I'm going to align it as well. The third one is going to be the administrative boundaries. Is one thing that I'm obviously not doing right now. I'll do it in a while. That is setting the color of the river thing. So I'm going to select all three first, object, then I'm going to go align and distribute, and I'm going to align their lefts. Once that's done, I'm going to pick administrative boundaries for districts. We'll probably align left. This one. Go with the object, align and distribute, and I'm going to align them as well. The font that it shows here is not representative. So I'm going to reduce this to maybe something else, maybe not bold, normal. And I have to then realign them. It's a bit of a hectic exercise when you look at it, but does serve the purpose of making your map more print worthy. Now, once this is done, we don't know where in the world this place is. So now we need to quickly fix that. Well, remove this, add the layer of representative of the entire region. National boundary, and maybe some provincial boundaries. I think open and add. And there you go. Now we know where it is from, but this is not going to work easy then. So this is how it's going to be. I'm going to zoom it on, assign it a certain color, because this does not need to work. It does not need to be like that. So I'm going to probably go with a color that's probably grayish. And I'm going to then for my own aesthetic choices, I'm going to reduce the outside line as well. I don't really like it on my map. I'm going to click export. I'm going to give it a good DPI as well. I'm going to draw on canvas. I'm going to copy this to clipboard. I'm not exporting this time. I'm just trying to save some time and paste it here. It's too big, a map. I'm going to select it, go to object, click transform, scale it to 10% of the size, and then click scale proportionally. And there you go, it's become smaller all of a sudden. Can't do it twice. So the next time that I do it, I'm going to probably do it at 70%. And then I'm going to see if this is going to be representative enough. Once I've done so, I need to put it somewhere so that it's representative of the map that I'm making. gonna probably do this now. I'm gonna do Control Shift D, zoom, zoom out here. And over this map, I need to place a box for what part am I representing. It's picking the color that I had previously picked. I'm going to remove the fill here. I'm going to create a stroke at 1, and I'm going to pick the color for the stroke. Now, picking the color for the stroke requires me to click on this. Usually it's red that we pick. So I picked red. Let's see how it looks. And then if you look at it, there's something about it. It's dotted. I don't want that as well. There's no one who want that. So I'm going to make it complete. And there's something else about it, that it's rounded in the edges. I think that's not something that we want either. So I'm going to straighten out the edges a little. And I hope it's not working. I have to probably zoom to this feature. Click here. Straighten the edges. Select. And we'll zoom back to the map. And this is the region that it is representative of. Uh, Obviously, you could add even further embellishments as we know them to them as well. For the north arrow, usually it's understandable to many cartographers that it is the north. So you won't really have to worry. Everything is far readable, in my opinion. I mean, you can obviously differ if you want to, but that's a good thing that we can differ. This is readable. This is your output map, and this turns out to be that we have Afghanistan, Kashmir, there's like these southern Pakistani provinces at the south, and you could have added that if you wanted to. But nevertheless, we are representing glaciers of the north, and you could have probably increased the color strength wherever you wanted to. The part that it's representing, again, the map inset that we call it, that's here as well. I could just probably stretch it a little. I was not really happy with it. Yeah. Alternatively, what we do is, I mean, usually, if we are representing something, we go to the map and we create this, like this boundary that we have created. We create the boundary of the study area over it without, like, say, for that matter, the labels. And when I had imported this as well, this would have then made this map look more appealing altogether. So this is one of the ways of creating print-worthy maps. Some of the takeaways from this obviously are not just being able to create a print-worthy map and understanding how Inkscape and GIMP and QGIS work together. This is also uh, kind of an introduction to a variety of functions that QGIS has for map preparation. So we sort of thought maybe, it can go hand in hand. I will now export this map. Select the folder that I want to export it to. I'll go with the downloads again, output maps, and I would say map uh, with embellishments, and that's fine. If I want to increase the DPI or the resolution, sometimes for the purpose that you're doing it, you can do that and replace it with high resolution map. The original file that it saves, when you click on the save thing, it's gonna give you this option. So here in my case, when I will go to this and I'm going to download in glacier maps, it's gonna save as SVG file. I'm gonna save this now, and I'm gonna go to the downloads directory that I have here. I'm gonna have a look at these maps. Now this is my SVG map. When I open it, by default, it opens it in my Internet Explorer. And this is how the SVG file looks like. Uh, if I would like to open it in maybe this software here, the default map viewer here, this will not work very well. And I could also open Microsoft Word I hope it doesn't ask me to log in though. And I could place it in my Word document to make you to show you how it will look like if I'm writing maybe a research paper or a research document or an assignment. So this is how it is. I'll be sharing this data with you. I'll also be sharing a write-up as well of all that we have done so far. I'm very apologetic about the time concerns, and sometimes I send you emails twice or thrice. So I have created a WhatsApp channel. I would rather want you to follow that so that I could just message easily and I don't have to send 1,200 emails uh, almost every Friday. And it's the time that we start is GMT +5. So I'm going to write it for you here. GMT, oh, sorry, GMT +5 for me. So it's GMT 12 p.m. for everyone else. This is where we start. So you could probably uh, go and sort of, uh, set this in your calendar. I could also send you an ICS file that you can add to your calendar for the class. I'll now open your mics. I'll take your questions. We can talk for a while. We can try to see what the problems are. I'll write them down with me and I'll try to fix them for you. So I have enabled the mics for everyone. If there's anything that you would like to talk about, you can talk. I will be there